Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and I have here the Samsung Series 5 Chromebook, which is a Samsung laptop with the Google Chrome operating system. It doesn't look too different from any other laptop with a 12.1-inch display, except it's got sort of nice rounded edges here, and you'll notice it's pretty much the same thickness all the way across, and that's because there's no user-replaceable battery sticking out from the bottom. In fact, if you look at the bottom, there's no access panels at all. You can take it apart by undoing some screws, removing the rubber feet, getting at the insides, but it's not a standard battery, so it's not something that that's really meant to be replaced on your own, and same goes for the hard drive and the RAM. Actually, instead of a hard drive, it has a solid-state drive. This computer has an Intel Atom N570 dual-core processor. Not the fastest processor, but good enough for basic web browsing and whatnot. There's two USB ports, one on the side, one on the other. Little plastic door hiding a SIM card slot. This is the Verizon model. There's a SD card slot here. Headset, mic and headphone combined. There's that second USB port, and there's a proprietary spot there for a VGA adapter, so if you want to plug in an external monitor, you have to plug this into here first. And power jack, and that's about it. Now what really makes it special though is what you see when you open it up. So this is turned completely off right now. I'm going to open it up, and within just a few seconds you can see we've got the Chrome boot logo, and now it's asking me for a password. I'm not going to show you the password. Now, I've been using this for a little while here, but the first time I logged in, basically I just entered my Google ID, and it automatically recognized my Chrome settings from other devices and started importing the applications that I downloaded from the Chrome Web App Store. From the Chrome Web Store, and extensions and so forth, and pretty much it was just like using Chrome on a desktop computer. Now, over here, let's take a quick look at the keyboard. You'll notice that there's a couple of things that are a little different from a typical laptop. There's no caps lock key. Instead, there is a search key. Up here at the top, instead of FN keys, F10, F5, etc., you've got back and forward buttons for web browsers. You've got a refresh page button, you've got Windows or a browser tab button, full screen button, and then brightness and volume and power. Now, one thing that's a little bit confusing here is that there's also no page up or page down buttons. In order to trigger a page down or page up motion, you actually have to do things like Control Alt up or down on the arrow keys, or Alt up and down. Honestly, I still can't remember. One of them is home and end, and the other is page up and page down. And that's something that's kind of bugged me a little bit on this. It's just not obvious, and there's no little blue text or anything like you would see on a lot of laptops. The touchpad is also interesting. It's very wide. There are no buttons. Instead, the whole thing is one button. You actually click down on it, and you can see as I do that, it's sort of, the plastic around here pushes down a little bit with it. It's not the most comfortable touching experience. I haven't actually used a Google CR48 Chromebook, but people tell me it had a pretty nasty touchpad. This one's supposed to be a little bit better than that, but the experience is a little bit tricky. I find that sometimes using it the way I would use a regular touchpad is the easiest thing to do, where I sort of move one finger and then use the other to click. Now, the right-click motion, you would put two fingers on the screen and tap, and you can do scrolling motions by dragging up and dragging down. But you can't just tap on the screen like that, or on the touchpad like you would with some other touchpads. You actually have to click down in order to register any sort of an action. In terms of the actual performance of the device, it's interesting. It takes some getting used to the idea of only having a web browser, and certain things really just seem to take longer than they probably should. So, for instance, I spend a lot of time in a web browser blogging. You know, I run a couple of websites, and when I'm using WordPress, what I often have to do is download a picture, save the picture to a local hard drive, edit it, and then upload it. Here, because there is no such thing as a native application for editing pictures, you wind up downloading it, uploading it to an image editor, editing it, downloading it again, uploading it again to WordPress. So it's just sort of that extra layer. And for pictures, it's not that big a deal. I mean, it takes a few seconds to upload and download a picture. But if you wanted to edit video, if you wanted to edit audio, things that are going to take a lot longer to upload. For instance, this video that I'm recording here could be easily as large as 2 gigabytes worth of data. I'm not going to upload that to a video editor so that I can then compress it so it's easier to upload to the web. So, video editing, not the sort of thing you're going to necessarily want to do here. In general, haven't had too much problem opening lots of browser tabs. When you open a bunch of browser tabs and do things like start watching YouTube videos and other processor-intensive tasks, you might occasionally start to run into memory errors. That's something that I've noticed a few times on here when watching videos. Overall, YouTube video performance, pretty good. Hulu, not as good. I've noticed that in windowed mode, Hulu videos tend to look okay, but if I try to watch them in full screen mode, they tend to get a little bit choppier. Netflix doesn't work at all. Okay, so we're going to try and watch a 720p video of the HTC Flyer tablet here. And for some reason it's not loading right away. There we go. So here's a YouTube video. And the quality looks pretty good. And same holds true for other videos that I've watched, including movie trailers and so forth. You can do Incognito Mode here. Control-Shift-N brings up a web browser that does not save your personal data. So if you're going to hand your computer to somebody and you don't want them to log you out of Google, but they want to check their email, Incognito Mode works pretty well. And you can flip back and forth by clicking up here with the Switch Windows button, or by using that keyboard shortcut I showed you before. Some people also refer to this as porn mode because it doesn't save any data, so if you're worried about other people tracking what websites you've been looking at, that'll do. Thing that kind of drives me batty, though, is that while you can rearrange your browser tabs, there's no way to tear a tab off into a separate window. Basically, what you see is what you get. It's all full screen stuff. In fact, you can even go more full screen and get rid of the tabs altogether. But you can't run two windows side by side, which, again, as a blogger, I tend to spend a lot of time researching in one window and writing in the other window, and that's something that I just simply can't do here. So it depends on what kind of activities you expect to be able to do online, whether you're actually going to be happy with a device that's browser only. Now I say browser only, but you can actually download some documents. Let's go ahead and show you the downloads section, where we'll also see the file browser. Show in folder. So we've got a file shelf and external storage. So if you plug in a USB flash drive or SD card, you'll see stuff in the external storage here. We've got picture viewer. This is actually going to show us a, well, this is just an individual picture. But let's go back to the file browser here and select multiple pictures. And now for some reason it's opened them all. There should be a photo slideshow view here, but I'm missing it somehow. There we go. I'm going to click the view button, and now what we've got instead is a photo slideshow. And you'll notice it's just showing up here as another browser tab. So, and in here you'll also see some of the pictures that I took, which are screenshots. This is what it looks like when you have a crash. This is what it looks like when you have a pop-up window. It actually shows up from the bottom of the screen and sort of hangs out there for a little while. And here's a media player. And a browser window, or a chat window. The chat window will actually just pop up in front of all the other windows, and you have to tap on it to minimize it. So overall, an interesting experience. It's not necessarily the best user experience if you're looking for doing things like editing audio and videos, or even pictures. I would say it's a little bit problematic. But if you're just looking for a laptop that's going to let you get online, check Facebook, watch YouTube videos, things like that, it could do. That said, this model runs about $500. Seems like a pretty hefty price to pay for a 3.3 pound laptop that basically runs a web browser and nothing else. So there you go. You can find a more detailed review at liliputing.com. This is Brad Linder with Liliputing.